Hey everybody! Guess what? It's D8 for inspiration time. That's right, this is your place for inspiration for all day. Except it's only for an hour, so yeah, make that work. Anyways, my name is Jamie Van Doren. This is D8 for inspiration put on by Never Ending, which is a great platform that me and my friends are working on. We are creating cool content tools for you to bring your D&D stories and other TTRPG stories to life. Anyways, it's going to be amateur animation, all sorts of fun stuff. Today, we are talking with two amazing content creators. I can't wait for them to tell you about the projects that they've worked on and give you guys all of the stories of pain and struggle and success. Because success is where it is. And their success stories are things that you can learn from. Before I have them introduce themselves, however, I want to share with you a little project that we're working on here at Never Ending. It's a book called Anansi's Tapestry of Lives. That's right, it's a whole book. We are getting into the publishing space. We're working with tons of guest writers and talking and creating a book of non-player characters, diverse, inclusive, representative. These are not like the Duke or the Bandit King. These folks are amazing, everyday people. They are the tavern server, the barkeep, the stable hand, the wine merchant, the fishmonger, the bookseller, a cartographer. These are the folks that your players invariably fall in love with and want to know everything about. And you probably have not put in the work to fully flesh out every single person that is in your world, because who has time for that? Seriously. So all you'll have to do is crack open this amazing book. You're going to see lots of pages. Hey, Ashley, can we get some of those pages up for people to see? Just as a little preview. You're going to see these awesome pages of tons and tons of content. Not everything is statted. Lots of things don't need to be statted. Some things have roll tables, but there's all this beautiful, delicious art in there. You guys are gonna love it. It's so cool. So cool. Anyways, that's us. That is this big project that we're working on. Stay tuned for more information about it. And with that, I want to get back to our topic today. Our topic today is TTRPG writing, the journey from two amazing, successful creatives who are brilliant, and some of the struggles that they've had, the journey, and the wins. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to these two fantastic people, B Zelda and J Dragon, to introduce themselves and tell you how to find them and where to find them and where to follow them. Take it away.
I almost feel compelled to match that level of energy, but I've only been awake for 2 hours. Had you got me 8 hours from now, absolutely I would have been on top of that. So you're gonna get Mellow Bee today.
Oh, that's totally fine.
Yeah, I'm still drinking my first large iced coffee of the day. So we're getting there. Hey y'all, name's B Zelda, they, them pronouns. I am a non-binary busy bee. I've been in the tabletop space for a while, podcasting, streaming, a little bit of writing, general content creating. If you want to follow me, you can do so. I'm available on Twitter as @B_Zelda. If you add an extra underscore, you can follow me on Instagram. And if you remove all of the underscores, you can follow me on TikTok. I have been involved in D&D actual plays. I have hosted conventions. I have worked with the McElroy brothers. I've shared a stage with Welcome to Night Vale. I have, I'm not good at a resume. I've hosted my own show on Roll20. I'm the community manager for D&D Adventures League. I'm busy, so I have no idea what I really do. But if any of that is interesting, yeah, maybe follow me. You don't have to.
So busy that you don't know what you do is that's a thing. That's a thing. Jay, tell us about you.
So I don't think even on a good day you can get me to match that energy, but I am present. I am here. Hi, my name is J Dragon. I am a writer, designer, and publisher. I'm the editorial director at Possum Creek Games. You might know me from Sleepaway, Wander Home, or my involvement in Yazeba's Bed and Breakfast. I like games. I like nature. I like books. I'm a homebody. I like Sudoku. I don't know. I feel like I'm I'm excited to be
Sudoku?
here. I like Sudoku. I'm oddly good at Sudoku, and I'm oddly mediocre at chess, which is the other thing I've been spending a lot of my time doing. But
Okay.
I guess with chess, it's less odd to be mediocre at it. Yeah, and you can find me on Twitter. That's the part I was forgetting. I was vamping until I remembered what was the actual important part of an introduction. You can find me on Twitter. I'm Jay Dragon. You can find me on Instagram, I guess. Although I think I'm gonna have to purge it of my personal posts because it's a little too, college years. And you can find me on TikTok and other places too. And you can find the work I've done at PossumCreekGames.com or support me at Patreon.com/PossumCreek. Thanks for having me, Jamie.
Oh, we are super excited to have you. If you guys see me like searching desperately, it's because I'm not wearing headphones, which means Google Meet picks up everybody's voices and thinks that I am talking for them as well. So we have captioning, which is really important because accessibility is important. We want everybody to be able to enjoy games. That's not the topic of today, but I'm just pointing it out because, it's a thing. Anyways, I want to mention, I brought up Anansi's Tapestry of Lives. This is our first foray into publishing and content creation, or traditional like written content creation stuff. There's a lot to content creation, and it isn't just TTRPG writing. And a lot of that other content creation both uses TTRPG writing and is inspiration for that writing. But it has been a lot of work. Like a lot of work, and we have guest writers and a few guest artists and a designer and lots of folks, but it is a lot of work. I would love to hear from you guys about how we got into this. So we started this project as a way to increase our brand footprint, because we're developing all these digital tools and to really start developing more relationships within the gaming community. So and to help uplift some folks, some smaller writers, and get connection with bigger writers and whatnot. So that was kind of our entry into this space and why it's important to us. I'd love to hear from the two of you about how you got into TTRPG writing, TTRPG content creation.
My story is ridiculous. So Jay, you want to go first?
I feel like my story is also, I don't know your story. So suddenly I'm like, whoa, but mine is, I have been LARPing since I was about 12 years old. And when I was 18, I finally played a tabletop game. I liked it. I started writing them when I was in college. Even when I dropped out of college, I kept writing them. People really liked the games I wrote enough that I could afford to stop being homeless. And then people really, really liked it. And I started a little business about it. So it's kind of been a little bit of a fun little journey through being a delinquent teen into tabletop game designer. That's my story, I guess.
I love that. That was a very succinct way of like summarizing a lot of shit.
Yeah. Yeah, you can have to hear I glossed over some chunks there.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna see if I could channel that. I was working a job I did not enjoy. I joined a couple of groups, which, God, I need Jay's energy. Okay, hold on, let me start over. I started a podcast with some strangers that ended up becoming, at the time, my really good friends. And I played D&D for the first time at 25? How old am I now? 26, it was 26. Nobody knows. And it ended up being wildly successful. At the time, our values, our goals with the broadswords went together really well. And it was a really cool experience, but I wanted to do more than just podcasting. So I took my energy, my talents, and my values, and I started streaming, which gave me more opportunities, and that opened up so many doors for a variety of content creation, and then I've never looked back.
I like that. That's I think you did a great job with that. That's a good intro.
Again, it glosses over a lot, but it really addresses the chunks that are important.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So it sounds like both of you kind of almost stumbled into the opportunity, but saw the opportunities and then just like dove in and said, "This is where I'm going to put my energy. This is where I'm going to put my work." Does that sound?
A lot of it was finding what really felt right too. Like I imagine Jay, like writing specifically tabletop games. Like when did you find that was the right thing for you?
It's interesting because I've been writing LARPs since I was much younger, and like I like to joke that game design is in my blood because I've been doing it since literally before I hit puberty. Like I was running games for like 60 people at a time with a full production budget at like a very young age.
Oh my.
Yeah. So I learned the twin skills of writing games and managing projects from a young age. But it means that like tabletop writing, like for me, it was like, I think I found that I enjoyed it. Like once I think it was like, I was I'm pretty young right now. Like I'm the age you were when you started your podcast.
I thought so, yeah.
So it's a lot of like, I think it was a lot of like, this is kind of like, I this is how I think about the world. And I think that like, it wasn't really anything else I could have done almost. Like I've tried my hand at other things and I'm mostly garbage at it. So this this was a pretty...
Similarly, I dropped out of university 3 times. I kept trying to I went for French studies. Français c'est absolument mon deuxième langue, mais c'est pas du tout quelque chose que je travaille avec. I hate it. I don't want to work in that shit. Can I swear? Jamie, yeah, I won't swear anymore.
Also, Manos, it's a little PG-13, but so like you have a couple of words that you can use.
Okay, that'll be my allotment. So I wanted to get into translation. Growing up, I've always enjoyed storytelling. I read a lot of like high fantasy books. Video games have kind of been what's gotten me through a lot of the tough times. The first time I dropped out was because I was playing too much World of Warcraft. The second time I dropped out, mental breakdown, and then the third time was an abusive marriage. But so every single time, it was just like, this is not the path. And the last time that I dropped out, that's when I started to get into podcasting again, because I went back to school as an adult. And I found something I enjoyed, storytelling. So after the podcast started to wind down, I wanted to take my storytelling skills and personality and bring it to other places, because that was what felt right. It was like, there was nothing else that I could do. I might not make bank doing this, but it's going to be something that I enjoy doing every single day.
Yeah. I love that. That's such a beautiful way to put it.
So when did you each kind of find your first success, your first win that told you, oh, this is the space I should be in, this is what I can do?
That's a hard one.
I mean, I think for me it was very much I think for tabletop specifically, it was Sleepaway, which is my queer horror game about a summer camp where it's like kind of about like taking care of these kids while they're being hunted by this monster. And I kind of wrote it in a little bit of like escapism. Like it was kind of me, processing stuff that felt very personal. It was kind of me exploring in some ways that felt very obvious to me, because it was kind of a lot of the LARP stuff I'd been doing. And then like Avery had done this like BOB jam, and I was like, was involved in this Belong Outside Belonging jam. And I was like, I can use this system to explore these kind of LARP themes that I've kind of been messing around with. And then everyone was like, this is really cool. And some people were like, you need to kickstart this. And I was like, oh, whoa, okay. All right, hold on. There's a reception to this that felt very meaningful. And I think that was, for me, I think that was like my first big win. It was like, I'd been mucking around in the itch.io scene and like making lyric games, although they weren't called lyric games, but like I'd been making kind of like experimental small things. And it was with Sleepaway that it was like, people like the stuff I'm doing is more than just experiments. Like, I'm actually able to make something that people will play and then tell me about them playing it. And like, people will, like, you know, like, there's fan fiction about Sleepaway on Archive of Our Own.
Oh my God, yes!
Which is such a queer way of showing that people love it, right? It's like the fan art and the fanfic and the TikToks. Like, there's TikToks of people in their characters, and I'm like, this is such a, like, you know, I don't give a crap about any awards, you know, I don't care about any of that. I want to see that what I've made resonates with people to the point that they're going to write gay fan fiction about their characters in it. That's what matters.
Oh my gosh.
Really quick, B, before we shift over to you and talk about your win, Jay, for people who may not be familiar, can you share a little bit about what LARPing is? Because we've used that, and we want to make sure that people understand the context.
LARPing is live action role play. There's a lot of different contexts where it goes on, a lot of different shapes it can take on, ranging from like American Boffer LARP with swords and like fireball, lightning bolt, to Scandinavian LARP, which is very like, you know, 3-day immersive adventure where we're all going to pretend to be, you know, like gay people in Ohio, to like, you know, the Boston Con LARP scene. Like, I got my start with a summer camp that was about LARP, and like that was kind of the focus of the programming. But yeah, LARP it's a broad category for telling games by playing them out in the woods or playing them with your, like, moving around kinetically instead of just sitting at a table.
I dig it. I dig it a lot. I love it. Very improv, very, you know, get me outside, which I never seem to do anymore. Plus, you know, super fun. B, I want to also now shift over to you, and we'd love to hear about kind of what you felt was one of your major wins that helped you feel like, yeah, this is a space that I can succeed in. This is where I want to put my time.
So there were a couple of moments. Denial is strong with me, you know? It's very easy for me to internally reject what the reality is. So there were a couple of moments where I should have been like, I think I did something right. Like, I think I made it. And one of the first times was, okay, so episode 3 of the Broadswords. All of us were listening to this podcast called Hello from the Magic Tavern, which we thought was like so popular, like these 3 white dudes doing shit, doing stuff, being funny. They were improv comedians, and we reached out to them and we got one of them on our show. And then episode 4, on a whim, we were all listening to the Adventure Zone. We reached out to Travis McElroy, and he was like, yeah, I'll be on your show. I don't mind. So that was a really, really cool, like, did we do something right? And then to follow that up with being paid to go to conventions for 2 years straight, we got paid to do a live show at Gen Con. We got flown out to Seattle. I live in Ontario, Canada. That's like, I'm never gonna go to Seattle. So that was a really cool opportunity. And I got to share a stage with like all the main, like the weird podcasters, you know, like Welcome to the Night Vale. There were a bunch of people from Polygon. It was awesome. And that was one of those moments where I was like, I think this is a success. However, there's like the break here. And that's that I felt like my success was only based off of the Broadswords. You know, at the time, the Broadswords were an all-women D&D podcast. And then a couple years into it, I came out as non-binary, and then we had to do a bit of shifting. And then a lot happened in the world, and our values stopped aligning as much as I needed them to. And that was when I was like, I think I need to do something for myself. So distanced myself from that and started to do things on my own. And it took me some time. Let me tell you, there were not a lot of wins along the way. But over time, I have got to work with, I'm trying to scroll over my list. Again, a lot of really cool things. What's that author? The white dude with the beard, Patrick Rothfuss. I got to write for Kobold Press. I'm so sorry, Jay. Can you tell I look up to them?
She's like, yeah, who's the white dude with the beard? I think Patrick Rothfuss. I don't know if anybody knows who he is.
He wrote up 2 books They were kind
yeah,
of.
there might be a couple of people waiting for a third book. I don't know.
I forgot about the third book. It's never happening. It was wonderful playing with him. I started my own podcast. I got to run the Dark Souls RPG game for the people that published it. It was fun to kill my party. I've done so many incredible things since then. I didn't think it was going to be possible entirely on my own, and I did it. I did the thing that I wanted to do.
So I'm sure both of you have had like moments that success was elusive or where things were a struggle or where, you know, maybe something wasn't going well. How do you work through... Whoops, hold on. Captioning. I forgot to throw that up. So you both have probably had moments where success was not really happening, or where there was a bigger struggle, or where you were really just having to put in more effort than you thought, things didn't look well. Where do you get your strength, your perseverance? How do you work through those moments to still tap into your creative energy, to still push through, to still make it happen? Jay's looking like...
Jay's face is my face.
Right?
Because like a lot of that fight has been like financial. You know, if I'm not working, I'm not paying my bills. And if I'm not paying my bills, then we have a problem. After leaving an abusive relationship a few years ago, like I was on my own for quite some time and like hustling nonstop, trying to get every single gig within the tabletop space. And like the tabletop space doesn't objectively have a lot of money as far as industries go. So trying to make enough to support myself, it's hard, but again, I guess if I have to be like, the thing that really keeps me going is the idea that this is what I'm meant to do, you know? And then like I eventually got a community management job that has helped me supplement a lot of my bills, which has been fantastic because community management is so hecking lovely. But I think, yeah, that's what's kept me going. How about you, Jay?
Yeah, I think a lot about before modernity and before we became alienated from the labor we do, right before there became a disconnect between the work we do every day and the act of survival, living was the continuous process of labor, right? Like to stay alive required working. It is very much a thing where, you know, you would wake up in the morning and it's like, sure, you don't have to tend to the farm, right? Sure, you don't have to go out and hunt something down and get some food. You don't have to. Just if you don't, then you don't have the food, right? It's just this very, and I think that when someone gets the opportunity to do well off, they can kind of view work as like other, you know, like it's kind of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? But when you're struggling, like, you know, like I think certainly we've both been there. It's not a question of like, how do you keep doing the work? It's a question of like, how do you stay alive to keep doing the work? And so you do the work for the same reason, you know, like, sure, you know, you might wake up and you don't want to, you know, do whatever you have to do today. But if you don't, you're the one who faces, you know, like it's not like you're taking money from your boss or whatever, you know, you're screwing over the Staples or, you know, McDonald's, you're screwing over yourself. And so, you know, you just kind of, I'm like, certainly, you know, I don't think that tabletop games correlates as directly to putting food on a plate as getting food from the woods might, but I think it's still like, and I don't think it's a healthy mindset to be in. I think that we'd all be much happier in a world where we could prioritize doing the work that makes us happiest. But I certainly remember in my first year of tabletop games, I developed a bit of a reputation as like a huckster. Like I would always be selling my games on Twitter and stuff. And I had someone come up to me who was like, why do you always act like such a sellout? Why do you give off such big corporate energy? And I was like, well, because 6 months ago I was sleeping in my car and I'm not particularly, you know, like it's really convenient to be like, I'm going to perform this kind of, you know, I'm going to focus only on the things that, you know, matter, you know, that are like the snazziest. And it's like, that's all well and good, but sometimes you also have to focus on what gets, you know, bread on the plate.
Can I share a story that might be a little, It's topical, but anybody please feel free to like X card at any point. So I worked at Origins Game Fair last weekend, 2 weekends ago. The guests, the featured guests there were Jamison Stone and Satine Phoenix. And I am their video host. I was contracted as their personality, as the person walking around the con, talking to everybody. I did the intro videos, which I was supposed to do with the guests. And I am friends with a lot of the people that have been hurt and taken advantage of by the Phoenixes. So this was the most stressful weekend of my life, but I needed to pay my bills. So I did the safest thing for me, which was do the bare minimum with my job related to these people, which thankfully only meant like 2 interactions with Satine. Jameson never even showed up. And then do the job, get paid, and then reevaluate everything else going forward. Because sometimes it just comes down to, not only have I signed a contract about this, but I need to pay my bills. I drove all the way to Ohio, like that's not easy for me. And then to have to be surrounded by inappropriate people, whew, you know, it wasn't easy.
There are a lot of decisions that we have to make. So, where we have to balance out kind of our values or what makes us feel comfortable and safe versus what we have to do to survive. So I'm in a position where I'm not, well, no, I guess my whole life is wrapped up in never ending this new company. But on top of that, I have 20 plus other people who are working with us whose lives are wrapped up in never ending the success of that. And so I had to take a trip out to California, for 2 weeks. My mom is intellectually disabled and she has stage 4 breast cancer. I'm her primary caregiver. And so I, had to be like worried about how do I balance like making sure that my health is good versus all these meetings that I have to take in order to network, to meet with investors and so on. Because for a company, like a new company in the gaming and entertainment space, it takes a lot of money, yo. And to build an app, it takes a lot of money, yo. Like you guys have no idea, a lot of money. Like I still make like right now half of what I made at my last job. When I was working for, like I make almost nothing compared to a traditional CEO. But everybody's working super hard and we have a responsibility to them. I'm going to Gen Con in August. I really struggled with that decision because conventions, and COVID is still a thing. And if my mom gets COVID, even though she's vaccinated and boosted, there's a good chance that she will not have a good time because she is incredibly immunocompromised from the chemotherapy.
Is that convention masked? I'm not going.
Well, I'll be masked, so it doesn't. I'll be masked. I mean,
it's masked. Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was. It's not that big of a deal to wear a mask at a convention. Like it was. No. It's uncomfortable, but like y'all are gonna survive. It's gonna be okay.
Right? It's good to wear, and it's
good for everybody
I don't want to
else
either.
Oh my god, con cred! Do you know how nice it was to come back after a convention and not be sick at all? Nothing. It was beautiful.
That's a thing. But I do want to speak just to your guys' point too, that it is about, I have plenty of days where I am like, oh my gosh, I'm super exhausted. I have way too much work on my plate. But you're right, you do power through because it's your job and it's a choice of survival, or it's the survival of lots of people. And what we try to do is make sure that we connect to the wins, that we keep the goal in mind, and that we try to draw positive energy from other people by putting that positive energy out there. I would love, in that spirit, I'd love to hear from each of you about kind of your biggest, most favorite accomplishment that you've had in the TTRPG space, in the content space. Like the thing that you love the most, that you're most passionate about, and that has just been great. And what was involved in making that a reality?
Oh god, accomplishment? there's something that like other people can have heralded as an accomplishment. It's not that it's any less, it's just I don't operate in that specific space. But I was once invited to a Critical Role party with the cast, and it was lovely. There was a bunch of other like tabletop names there. I looked super fabulous, but I'm not super social in those kind of spaces. I remember meeting Matt Mercer, and he was just like hugging everybody left and right. And I just wanted to be like, hey, it was nice to see you. Thank you for the party. And he went in for a hug, and I have a rather large personal bubble. And immediately I was like, no, thank you. So again, I don't see that as a success or a win. I saw that entire party as like anxiety, but it's a cool thing to talk about. Again, Zelda has been with those humans that are successful within this space. And while I don't aspire to that, because that's frankly unattainable and that's not what I want my own end goal to be, it's cool to be able to share the same space as those folks.
Yeah, I think that oftentimes people's perception of what is your greatest accomplishment is very different from what actually feels like the most personally rewarding. I mean, I think the most obvious kind of way in which that shows up is with Kickstarters, where, people will see like, oh my God, your Kickstarter funded. That's incredible. And it's like, thank you. My job just started. Like, I just confirmed that I'm getting paid for my job for the next year. That's what that means. The Kickstarter or the crowdfunding isn't, a sign of a victory. It's a sign that I've successfully started the battle. And I think for me, right now in this moment, my biggest success is honestly just like the fact that people like Wanderhome, which, is my pastoral fantasy RPG. It's gotten a lot of buzz, and it's one thing to make a thing that sells on Kickstarter, right? And like it's one thing that people seem to be like, oh, I want to buy that, and it's like, great, they're interested. It means I've sold them well. But when people come to me later, they're like, hey, I'm a therapist who uses this in my practice, or like, hey, like I'm a queer teenager and I play this with my parents and I'm like using it as a way to warm them up to the idea of me being trans, like that sort of stuff. It's like, yeah, okay, that's actually feels like an accomplishment, because it's one thing when what you create has like financial success, that just means you're a good salesperson. But when people are impacted by it, that means that maybe you're actually, what you wrote was worth writing. So I think that to me is the big success.
When Wanderhome was kickstarting, I think I was working with One Shot Network at the time, and we did a stream of Wanderhome. And
yes, I think that's where I first met you.
I think so too. I got fan art of my little skunk that I played, and I have a little folder for my fan art. And that little skunk, I think their name was like, I'm gonna pull it up right now. It's one of my favorite pieces. It's not the most like artistically beautiful, but it was just somebody appreciated my tiny little character that had a poke and stick, and the fact that somebody resonated immediately, drew that and shared it with me. Like, fan art is what makes me feel like I've made it.
Oh yeah. I remember to help promote Wickedness, back at the beginning of the pandemic, to help promote Wickedness, me, Gian, and Brennan did a 3-part series of us playing Wickedness together. And my microphone wasn't great, my audio wasn't great. It was, I didn't really know what I was doing. I look back on it, I kind of cringe a little bit, but someone liked it well enough to do fan art of our 3 characters, and that felt so meaningful. Like, just as this person liked the character and the world and the ideas well enough to want to make art based on it. Like, that is like the highest compliment you can get, is that not you made something that is beautiful enough that someone else made something beautiful. Like seeing the thing you made was so emotional for them. They the only way they knew how to articulate their emotional response was through art. It's a huge honor. It's a huge compliment. Yeah. And so for me, that's kind of the sign that that's kind of what I mark as an actual victory. You know, like I don't really care about, oh, you know, I worked with this person or that person, or, you know, like none of that is like, or, you know, oh, I made, you know, like this much on whatever, and I'm like, that's not. Yeah, it's the fan art. Yeah.
Cosplay, TikToks, like
Yeah,
you said
absolutely.
earlier. That's the one that like it is still. I'm waiting for the day that somebody makes fan fiction of a character that I played. That's all I want.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, absolutely. The fact that there's Yazeba's Bed and Breakfast fanfic absolutely sent me, because it's like, what is this game's not even out yet, but people, people resonated that much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I want to get into the weeds a little bit now. So for the last like 20 minutes or so that we have, and talk a little bit about your guys' creative process. Like, you know, what goes into your TTRPG content creation? What's kind of your creative process? How do you take something from an idea and bring it into reality and further promote it for public consumption? Also, if a train is traveling at 43 miles an hour north-northwest, no, I'm kidding. I hate when I do that. I've got like this three-part question. I'm like, oh, wait.
I always failed those.
That's a lot. So let's just bring it back. It's basically, it's your creative process. How do you take it from idea to creation? And then from once it's a thing to promotion?
I think very broadly, for me at least as a writer, you want to keep every single one of those processes and jobs separate from each other. The part of you that promotes, the part of you that's responsible ultimately for marketing, should not get a say in the artistic process, right? That they should not be allowed. Like when you're creating art, the act of devaluing something into content to be consumed is like the last step that you have to undergo as the selling of your body to justify living in this hell world. Ideally, the work you make, I think, you know, for me, my creative process is a lot of sketching, a lot of bad ideas, a lot of things that don't make it to print. You know, 99% of the ideas I have don't make it to a game, you know, and like, I think for every game I publish, there's probably 100 games I wrote 1,000 words of, you know, like you want to, like, for me, it's just, I write a lot and I try and find kind of what the moments that spark, the moments that I come back to, and I'm like, wait, I think there's something actually here. And like, I want to let myself follow down all the weird paths that my brain wants to follow down without really any regard for like, how do I sell this someday, right? Because if I get caught up in how do I sell this, I'm not making the stuff I want to make, I'm making the stuff that will sell on the market. And all the stuff, you can only make things for the market based on what's already at the market, right? Like if you want to have a good idea that's going to actually be something new and worthwhile, it can't be like you can't go to the market and look around and be like, what's everyone else already doing? Okay, let me copy that. You have to be like, you have to go into your own you have to like find your artistry. At least that's my approach. I don't know. You might do it, but I think for me, it's like, I want to find the art kind of on my own, in my own process. And then once it's all done, then I kind of go to the marketing part of myself. And I'm like, well, you know, writer J has made this book. Marketer J, how do you sell this book? And marketer J now has the job of going through it and figuring out how do you actually market this object. And maybe marketing J gets to have some editing revisions along with all the other editors who get to have opinions. But, you know, I think that's the core of my approach is just, you know, you're not making content, you're making something else.
I like that a lot. I feel like we both kind of create different same content but in different spaces. So I'm not a writer. Shout out the people that have tried to hire me for writing content many times. Yearly I get writing requests and I desperately want to work with them, but I don't have those skills. I've never trained. I've got like a writing credit with Kobold Press, and the only reason it ended up being so successful is I was creating a magic item. So it was like, what do you want in a magic item? And for me, it's just like, I'm not even going to look at the market to see what there already is. I'm going to make what I want, what I think somebody like me would benefit from. So I ended up writing an item called the hair pick of protection. Because I feel like there's not a single hair pick in Dungeons and Dragons, and I don't see why not. Like, that's a missed opportunity.
150%.
Yes.
Legit. Because people have textured hair. Mm-hmm. Like, a hair pick is a thing. Why would you not have why would you not have a magic hair pick?
Exactly. It makes your hair look good and provides you a little bit of defense. So that was incredible for me to do. And that's kind of how I approach a lot of my storytelling. Whenever I GM or run a game or organize an event, it's all about how would I want to consume this? It's like when I approach running a game, I don't plan, I don't prep. I don't know if it's because I have ADHD. I am medicated, but what that's doing, who knows? Planning is a nightmare for me. I would prefer to show up, be told, hello, I'm a rogue cat who walks backwards. We have over here a turtle monk who does breakdancing, and it's my job to take these two skills or these two characters and tell a story. And I don't want to plan any of that. I just need to take that information and then turn it out into something, and then hope that translates well on whatever medium that I'm using it on. The marketing part, I love, Jay, that you have that division, because so much of what you create needs to be its own standalone thing before it ever even touches the marketing side. This makes me sound like a gross schlub sellout or something, but everything I do, because it is often on screen, has to be marketable.
You're a performer. And marketing is performance. Yeah. Whereas I'm not. My job isn't performance. I have to perform later.
Exactly.
So it totally makes sense that you. Yeah.
So hearing you talk about that was really interesting for me, because as soon as I sit on this computer chair, turn on my camera, everything is intentional to a point, you know? So marketing, every time I send out a tweet, I'm marketing myself. Every time I'm in front of the camera. So that's a constant consideration for me when it comes to like my standard workflow and process.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think it's like, I think marketing form reflected, you know, and you're a performer, and also, oh, I'm so sorry. I was just saying, marketing is like a kind of performance we've invented, and so it totally makes sense, you know, that it all kind of like. I don't know. I was I don't like it. I don't like it. I was thinking recently about how marketing is just like performance to entertain capitalism, like where we're all kind of the collective equivalent of like the court jesters. In like instead of like earning coins from the king, we're earning coins from the free market, but you know, same vibe.
Oof, the things I do to survive.
Oh, my darling Jamie, you're muted.
Oh no, wait.
You're good now. You're good now.
We're gonna we have a little surprise coming up on screen in a couple of minutes. But I do want to also just get into maybe where some of your ideas come from. Where do you pull your content ideas from, and how do you Oh wait, we have it now. We have a cute little skunk character to pull up on screen really quick. Look at that. Yay! That's the fan art that was done. That is adorable.
And I cannot remember the artist. I'm so certain, Jay, they're probably in your server, like in your Discord server.
Probably. I wish I knew how to search for it. I wish we had a dedicated fan art channel.
Right. But like maybe like once a month, I'll just look at that photo and just like, it's so perfect. From the little pants to the poke and stick to the ridiculous name. It was like Atari Mango. I can't read that last name, and I made it.
Probably Ragamuffin, probably the player.
Oh, it was Ragamuffin! God, you're good! That's so great. I named them based off of, I was at my friend's house. Like, what is around us? We have an Atari. There's a mango that you were eating. All right, there's my character name.
Amazing.
Oh my God.
Oh, that makes me so happy. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, of course. So where do your ideas come from? And what's your process for refining them? I know you talk a little bit, Jay, you talked a little bit specifically about separating like the marketing part from that, but there is refinement that happens during the creative process. As we kind of work to take the idea from something rough to something that we feel is done. So, what's your inspiration, and how do you take it from idea to something that you feel is finished?
I think for me, I tend to try and find ideas from the world around me, like from my own life, from like I've been reading a lot of books to try and like synthesize the books I read into kind of making a bit. I like to like say I'm making a big soup in my head. I like to think about the systems I live in, right? Like, I remember that one of my first kind of like really big LARP projects came from chemistry class where I was doing some kind of like chemistry demonstration, and I realized I felt how an alchemist would, like in 1300s Europe. I was like, wait, that's the same feeling. I could write a game based on this feeling. And I think like for me, it's like a lot of like I just kind of like try and think about what, like, I don't know, like equivalence, like how do things resonate with other things, like how do things connect to other things, and then I kind of start writing. I iterate, I throw out a lot. I'm dismissive of a lot of my ideas because I'm trying to find the ones that fit together the right way. And I think, like then you edit it a lot because, like even in games, playtesting is just editing, right? It's just editing with a specific set of, it's beta reading with a specific set of reading goals. And so you just have to, you make a thing and then you edit it until you've carved away all the parts of it that, my dad used to tell me that the best sculptors of marble, that it wasn't that they looked at a stone and they turned the stone into a woman, but they saw the woman inside the stone and they would bring the woman out. And so I think that's kind of what the editing refining process is you see the woman inside the stone and you find her with the chisel. The chisel is about uncovering something that's been there the whole time.
I love that. I really like the idea of taking inspiration from like the world around you, because there's a lot that's topical and that I would like to have conversations about without having conversations about. And tabletop gaming is a fantastic way to do that. However, my main inspiration is honestly anime. That's unfortunately the bulk of my cultural experience came from anime growing up. Didn't have access to a lot of other shows. So at its core, I tend to run my games with that as a framework. And then I inject real life and feelings and experiences into that kind of a world, because anime doesn't make for a great frame of reference when you're comparing it to real life, but it does make for a great way to frame a game or a world or a scenario where it's up to me and the players to just breathe life into that stillness. Much less thought out, though.
No, I think that's a good answer. I feel it.
Yeah, I'm busy trying to type up a couple of these ideas and comments, and I like this idea as, anime as inspiration and anime as a framework, because really, anime does usually get into the hero's journey in almost every single episode, and that hero's journey is something that is really useful throughout. And then throughout anime, there's usually that character development or that story development that happens.
Exactly.
So I can definitely see how that is not just inspiration, but an actual framework. That's really cool.
It's my favorite to use. We just make it like 99% less misogynistic, and then we're great. I love anime, but it's not without its problems.
Sorry, I had to finish typing that, and I can't type super fast all the time. So that's really cool. That's I would love to hear from you two about what you think is kind of great. what content is out there right now that you look to, that you are like, wow, that is something that is really cool, that is something that I can take inspiration from? Because our inspiration does come from the outside world. It can also come from other creatives, other creators. So is there any project that you've seen recently, or any creator or creative that you've seen recently that you're like, wow, that person is doing really interesting stuff, and this is what I like about it, or this is what inspires me about what they're doing? I know that I'm asking you this out of nowhere now.
Oh, no. I could answer it, but I also, in my brain, I wanted to frame it like, Jay, do you have any, I call them role models, but they don't need to know that they're my role model, because they're not really, but I look up to some of these people. Arbria, I worked with her, but I still look up to her for everything that she's done. Christina Ariel, that's somebody I think is incredibly talented. I don't want to be in that position, but I still admire everything that she's done in her space. Like that.
No, I feel that. For me, obviously, I think it's kind of transparent from the games I make, that Avery Alder is a huge inspiration. And even though similarly I've worked with her on a few projects at this point, I've only barely lost the starstruck eyes when she walks into a room. It doesn't help that she's very beautiful, and she walks in with very
stunning human being with all
absolutely.
the intimidation.
Oh, absolutely.
Can I just say that is one of the, I have a short list of people that I would love to work with, and she is right, if she's not at the top, she is right, almost at the top, number 2 if she's not number 1. Everything that she does is so good, and it just feels so finished. She's
very talented. She's very thoughtful and methodical in her approach. I think her and I have some disagreements on practical applications, but that's to be expected when you're both trying to do kind of crazy, outrageous stuff. And then, I'm like, she's like, I don't understand what the rules are when I read this. I'm like, that's the point. The ambiguity is the point, Avery. But we'll have our, we have our practical disagreements, but that's normal. I also really want to shout out, this is not an inspiration point, but this is someone who, if you're listening to this, I hope you check out Stargazer Sasha on Itch.io is an absolutely incredible creator. She recently, she releases a few different things. One of my favorites is The Girlfriend of My Girlfriend is My Friend, which is a GM-less game about being an extended polycule, and has a lot of really great characters, and it was made entirely in MS Paint, which kind of adds to it. She also did Kenzie's Project, which is a really wonderful game about kind of being a girl trying to solve this kind of research question at this university and slowly succumbing to madness. It's a really interesting horror story. So Stargazer Sasha, I think, is one of my favorite designers right now, even though I think I've been doing it a little bit longer than her. She is absolutely inspiration. I encourage you to check out her work.
I just hold on.
Click those buttons.
I know, right? Hold on. Where am I? Am I still muted? No, there I am.
No, we can hear you.
No, we can hear you.
I was trying to figure out where I was muted. Yeah, I just threw up some of those links into the chat.
Great. So, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. What's a final thought for somebody that each of you wants to share with somebody who is looking to get into either TTRPG writing or TTRPG content creation? What's kind of what is something that you wish somebody had said to you?
That's the one. That's what I'm gonna frame it as. I wish somebody had sat me down, put their hands on my shoulders, looked at me in the eyes, and said, do not let yourself be tokenized. You are valuable. If there is not a space already made for people like you, then make the space yourself. You do not need to be used. And it took me quite some time to even listen to my own self to figure that out. But tabletop gaming has been a beautiful and confusing space to navigate. I have had to learn a lot about myself and a lot about how to navigate that space. And I just wish somebody had told me that, like, it's okay to be you. You're not going to fit in all the spaces. That's fine. Make one where you fit and people like you will join.
Yeah, I love that. I think I'd probably sit down and say, publish under a pseudonym. Or my other piece of advice that I wish I had heard might be, know what you want to be going in. Get it, or do you want to be a publisher, or do you want to have your books be published? Those are different desires. Do you want to, because being a publisher is a small business owner, do you want to be a small business owner? And I guess to be fair, Avery did say these things to me, but I still think it's the thing that everyone needs to say to themselves when they are like, I'm going to publish a thing, is I want them to really sit down and be like, do I want to be a self-published, do I want to be running a small business, right? And if the answer is yes, keep on your path. If the answer is no, are you sure? Are you sure you want to run a Kickstarter? I want everyone to know that, that's kind of, that tabletop is a series of communities. It's also a series of industries, and it's many ecosystems of industry. And I think people, when they go in, if they want to make a living on tabletop, they should know what is that industry they're looking for, right? And how do they fit into it?
And chances are you're gonna have to put on a lot of hats.
Yes, that too. Like,
a lot.
A lot.
The skills that I have learned that I never even, I can video edit. I can produce. Like,
I can video edit. Why on earth can I video edit?
I can
what am I doing knowing how to video edit? I have to. Recently, I think it came in handy that, like, my mom speaks Italian.
That's so funny.
Why is this needed? Why is this relevant
weird,
for my
obscure
job?
skill?
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's our final advice then. Be prepared to wear all of the hats.
Yeah, every single skill you've ever had in your entire life will somehow, in some odd way, become relevant in RPGs. So keep those old textbooks.
I feel that 100%. And you know what? That's the thing with writing as well, is that you're pulling from all of these different things. Before we jump into outros, I want to thank everybody who came on to stream to watch us. For those who bounced in and out, hey, it was great to have you in for a little bit of time. I hope you still took a D8 for inspiration, and I hope you had to roll an 8, because, hey, you deserve it. We need great days, and I hope this is a place where you got some positive energy and some really cool lessons. Stay tuned for upcoming news on our upcoming book, Anansi's Tapestry of Lives, which is going to be paired with Anansi's Journal of Commonplaces, which is a little supplement of micro settings. So whether your players stumble into the bustling castle kitchen, or you want a good description for the stable where their horses are being stabled, hey, we'll have you covered, along with things that you can find there. So really good descriptions and things like that go along with everything. But this is not about Anansi's Tapestry of Lives or Anansi's Journal of Commonplaces. This is about these fantastic creators who shared their wisdom and experiences with us. Thank you both so much. We are so grateful to have you on stream. Can you let folks know, again, who you are and where they can find you?
All right. Hey, y'all. I have been your non-binary busy bee. I am sometimes a podcaster. I've been on the Broadswords, 12-Sided Stories, One-Shot Podcast. I can't roll for it. That's a stream. I don't know. I do podcast stuff. I also host my own called Anime Attaché. If you want to listen to me talking about anime, I am a TTRPG streamer. I've streamed with Roll For It, Q Times, I don't know, D&D Beyond, Twitch channels, playing games. So that's fun. If that is your jam, follow me on Twitter. It's at @B_Zelda. Add an extra underscore on the end. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's mostly pictures of me, maybe my dog, who knows, maybe my girlfriend sometimes. Otherwise, you can check me out on TikTok, where I also just post nonsense stuff that makes me happy, gender stuff. the regular. You can follow me there is at bzelda, and if D&D is your jam, check out D&D Adventures League. It's a community that I manage for organized play.
And my name is Jay Dragon. I'm a writer, designer, and editorial director at Possum Creek Games. You might know me for my work on Sleepaway Wanderhome or my involvement in the upcoming Isabe's Bed and Breakfast. You can find me on Twitter. I'm Jay Dragon. You can find me many other places besides. You can check my work at possumcreekgames.com. And you can check out my Patreon, patreon.com/possumcreek, where myself and Kazumi Chin have been doing a weekly podcast about game design and its intersection with social justice. Pleasure to meet all of you. Hope you enjoy.
If you can throw, oh my gosh, if you can throw up your Twitch channel or whatever, like a link to something that we can throw up for folks. Jay, if you can throw up a link to your Patreon in our chat, and then we'll make sure that it gets into you can either throw it up directly in the chat on Twitch, or you can throw it up in our Zoom chat and we'll post it up. Oh, there, got it. Got that.
I'll put my link tree in just because I don't have my own channel. I stream on everybody else's channel. You think I have the time to manage my own channel?
In addition to everything else you're doing? Good God.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you don't sleep.
That's clearly...
I'm a big fan of sleep. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So thank you both for being on. Thank you to our wonderful viewers. We're so happy that you were on. My name, again, is Jamie Van Dorn. I'm the founder and CEO of Neverending. You can find us all over the net at Be Neverending. That's BeNeverending. Be Neverending. Because Neverending was taken by so many people. But anyways, thank you so much for being here. Come check us out every single Saturday and stay tuned for some really cool information. We've got lots of cool things coming. It's going to be so good. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Take your D8 for inspiration and go be inspired. Bye.